I'm going to share with you a story today, which has to do with what I call life's little wings. And it's a way of living, a way of co-creating, which works for me, which I share with my clients, and which may resonate with you. It has to do with paying attention, and it has to do with saying yes. And here's the story. So about 4 days ago, I read an article about the shortage of clean water. I believe it was in Denmark. And that really put water on the forefront of my mind, and also the gratitude for the fact that, all I have to do is turn on the sink and I'm going to have water that I can drink. A couple of hours later, I'm on the phone with a friend of mine who tells me about what's happening on the streets of Seattle, where he happens to be living right now. He's telling me that right now, all the water fountains are closed. There is really nowhere to go and get drinkable water. So what he's noticing is that people who don't have a home, homeless people, right now, instead of asking for cash or asking for cigarettes, they're asking for water. So think about that. The thing that they need most right now is clean water to drink. I heard that, and that started a little thing going in my mind. That afternoon, my sons were cleaning out our garage, and they're getting rid of stuff, and I find in my garage 2 big cases of bottled water. And my mind goes, article, homeless people, need for water, I have this case of water. I connect the dots and I decide I'm going to go down and I'm going to drop off some water on the street corners in Seattle. And I mention it very much in passing on Facebook, just a 3-liner. Right away, 2 people get a hold of me and say, I have water I can donate. And so yesterday, I got in my car, filled it up with all the water I had in the garage. There was beautiful gallons of water on my front porch that someone had dropped off with notes on the bottles. I had an address to where I needed to stop on my way down to Seattle and pick up more water, which I did. And I'm driving down, and on the way down, I'm thinking, well, I hope this works out fine. I had talked to a friend who said, be careful because you may stop and get mobbed. There's going to be a lot of people wanting this water. And I'm thinking, that's fine. It's going to be fine. I'm going to figure it out. It's going to be fine. What I know for sure is there is a need for water and I have water. And that's kind of all I need as far as information goes to move forward. So I'm taking action with these 2 pieces of data that seem to talk well with each other. So I'm driving down the freeway and I had music on, and all of a sudden this thought comes into my mind. And I remember that at this time, 5 years ago, this week, 5 years ago, a good friend of my daughter had died. He had died in jail. And he had died because he didn't have access to water. He died of dehydration. 5 years ago this week. And I have this car filled with water. And I'm thinking, this is great. This is special. There's a reason. And somehow I'm starting to see dots connecting, even though I didn't need the dots to connect in order to take action. So I'm driving, and now there's more meaning to this trip down. Now, I haven't gone anywhere, really. Nobody's going anywhere. So my plan was not to see anybody when I dropped off this water. I wanted to just drop it off, get back in the car. I had my dog with me. Anyway, all of a sudden, it's richer. There's more meaning. And so I get to Seattle, which looks like it's just eerie and strange and beautiful, and it could be looked at heartbreaking. At the same time, it can be looked as kind of sacred. There's no one in the streets except homeless people, pretty much. And as I'm looking around as to where I'm going to drop my first batch of waters, I see to my left a van, and on the van it says this big sign on it that says love. And again, I make the connection to my daughter's friend, because one of the things he used to say was, I see your hate and I raise you one love. And there's this van right there, this big word love on it. So I stop and I drop off the bottles and go somewhere else and I drop off more water and I see people picking him up. And then a little bit later, I was on a beach, at the end of a beach, and I saw a rose just sitting in the sand. Like it was a little bit dry, and it was just this rose just sitting in the sand, and I couldn't understand how it got there and why it was there, just sitting there. And a little bit later, at my feet, there was another rose. And the whole thing was just bizarre. And to me, this is what I call life's little wings. The rose for me reminds me of my grandmother and the song La Vie en Rose, which talks about seeing life through rose-colored glasses, but to me speaks more of going forward and going with the love and going into action, even though we don't really know why. And as I went home that night, all of a sudden everything made sense. Whereas in the morning, I was just sort of maybe a little bit risking my day by going down, I don't know. And as I drove home that night, everything made sense to me. There was a sense of cohesion, and there was a sense of richness, and there was a sense of being guided. And so to me, here's the way I like to live. I like to pay attention to what's coming my way, what might be asking my heart for paying attention. Then I like to take action. I don't want to put myself into danger ever, but I also want to stretch a little bit past the doubts and the superficial fears and the what ifs. I like to just feel my gut and move forward and take action. And then I like to be available to the life's little wings that say, you've got this, I'm here, I'm with you, and here's a sign, and keep going. So let me know if that resonates for you. And also, if you have extra water and you live near a place where some people might not have access to water, this is not something we hear about a lot right now, but I think this is something that's real. It could be very difficult to get drinking water, so you may consider dropping off a case of water somewhere. Let me know what you think. Bye-bye.